All right, folks, so today we're going to talk about some adding and subtracting fractions, as well as multiplying and dividing, because it's going to be most of our tests for our unit on fractional computation. I want to make sure you guys are prepared. So you can go to Schoology, go to your math course, go to Unit 6, which is fractional computation. You'll see a activity or slide deck that says fraction practice. I want you to make sure you open that and work through that best you can. I'm going to be putting these videos on each of the slides that starts a section to make sure that you guys are able to do those problems on your own. So take a look here, adding and subtracting fractions. So we're going to put this into two places, like denominators and unlike denominators. Okay, so starting with like denominators, pretty simple with adding and subtracting. You just follow along the whole process. Keeping your denominator the same, of course. So we say on the first slide of that section, it's going to say 2/5 plus 2/5 equals 4/5. Your denominator stays the same, gets carried over to the answer. You add up your numerators. Same thing for subtraction. So if we look at this and we say 10/5 minus 6/5, denominators are the same, carry that over, and then subtract your numerators. 10 minus 6 equals 4, and then that takes care of that. Pretty plain and simple. Now, when we go to unlike denominators, there's a thing we need to focus on, okay? It is the LCF, or known as your lowest common factor, okay? Very, very important, because it has to be the lowest common factor. So the lowest number that both those numbers land on that are the same. So we're gonna take some practice at that. So if we look here, all right, and we do 1/2 plus 1/4, have unlike denominators, so we need to make sure to find the lowest common factor to get the like denominators, okay? So we look here, so we say LCF, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's my multiples of 2. All right, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. My multiples of 4. What's the lowest number that both numbers can be on that are the same? 4 and 4, okay? 4 and 4. So looking at here, we need to figure out how we're going to get these denominators to 4. So we look at that by saying, well, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 1 times 1, 1 times 2. So we sit there and say 2/4, okay, because I gotta get this to 4, plus 1/4. So this becomes this problem. And since we have like denominators now, this carries over to our answer. And then we do this one over here saying 2 plus 1 is 3. The answer is 3/4. Now, let's look at a subtraction one, okay? So looking at a subtraction one, if I say we have 2/3 minus 1/6, okay? 2/3 minus 1/6, okay? Equals what? Well, we have 3 and 6. We need to find our lowest common factor. All right, so it's the LCF, 3, 6, 9, 12. Do you have to write these out? No, as long as you understand and you know that you can get the lowest number, okay? All right, 6, 12, 18, 24. My multiples, just doing a few to make sure they match up. 6 and 6 right there. All right, so what do we do here to get this to 6? Times 2. Do the same to the top. What do we do here to get 6? Times 1 to keep it 6. Times 1 here, okay? Do what you do at the bottom, you do to the top. So now we have 4/6 minus 1/6. 4 minus 1 is 3/6. And as usual, if it tells you to, make sure you do it, but usually it'll ask you in simplest form. So if we take 3 divided by 3, 6 divided by 6, or divided by 3 gives us 1/2. 3 over 6 is the same as 1/2. All right, pretty plain and simple. Let's look at a word problem that actually has multiple parts, because you will have those on your test as well, that has multiple steps. So looking at this problem, it says Olivia is making brownies for Rasika's birthday, which is on Friday. She has 2 3/4 cups of flour, and Leon also adds 2 1/5 cups of flour, because Leon's always got Olivia's back. They use 1.5 cups of flour. How much remains? There's 2 parts to this question. Now they give you both the amounts here, okay? They say 2 3/4, and then Leon adds her cups of flour as well. All right, so that tells us that the first thing we need to do, okay, is add. Then it says how much remains. We use how much we use here and how much remains. So now we need to subtract. All right, so doing this in 2 parts, we need to first get our total amount of flour that we have. So we write this problem out as 2 3/4 plus 2 1/5. All right, now you guys know the way I like to do it. If you figured out how to solve this with just doing your whole numbers and then your problem, you can do that. You should have learned in previous grades. My method is going to improper fractions first. So looking at this, I need to turn this into like denominators in improper fractions. So I say 4, okay, times 2, which is 8, all right, plus 3 is 11. 11 over 4, plus 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, all right? So we do 11/5, okay? Now we have this. Now we need to get our like denominators to do our problem together, all right? So looking at this right here, all right, what's our lowest common factor here? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We see that 20 is our lowest common factor that's the same. All right, so just so happens this works out this way of how we get our denominator to the same number. So 4 times 5 is 20, due to the top, okay? So this becomes 55 over 20 plus 44 over 20. All right, 55 plus 44 is 99 over 20. Now, you can go back to a mixed number from this number, and usually you would make sure that you go back to it and not leave an improper fraction. Since we're doing a second part here for subtraction, let's not do that yet, okay? So let's bring that over here, okay? This is now our total amount that we have. Total, okay? So we say 99 over 20, and we need to subtract, okay, to get how much remains. So we subtract 1 and 1/2. So we look that, turn it into a improper fraction. So we go 2 times 1, okay? So that's 2 plus 1 is 3, okay? So subtracted by 3 over 2, okay? Now, unlike denominators again. So go back through the same process. We need to find our lowest common denominator, okay? So lowest common factor for our like denominator, okay? Now, we sit there and say 20, 40, 60, 80, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. All right, there's our lowest common factor, which is great. All right, so we need to figure out how to get our denominators to be 20. So times 10 here, times 10 here. times 1 here, times 1 here. So we sit there and say 99 over 20 minus 30 over 20. Okay, so now we have, this is our problem right here. 99 minus 30, all right, equals 69 over 20. Now that we have how much is remaining, okay, we need to turn this into a mixed number. So how many times does 20 go into 69 without going over? We have 20, 40, 60, 80. 60 is our closest, and that's 1, 2, 3 wholes. So we say 3, okay? Denominator stays the same. There's 9 remaining from that 60. So 9, 3 and 9 20ths. Is 20 divisible by 9, or is 9 divisible by 20? No, so this doesn't need to be reduced. So we say it as 3 and 9 20ths of a cup of flour is what remains. All right, so that is our steps. Make sure you do the work and don't get lost in the question where it asks multiple parts, okay? Cool, moving on to the next part.